Everyone, welcome to the City of Menifee Parks, Recreation, and Trails Commission special meeting. I'm going to call this meeting to order at 6 p.m. Thank you for those that are in attendance, either in person or online. Let's begin with a roll call. Ms. Rodriguez?
Chair Faust?
Here.
Vice Chair Tremblay? Commissioner Ackerman?
Here.
Commissioner Sanchez?
Here.
And Commissioner Peterson?
Here.
Thank you. Can I ask Commissioner Sanchez to lead us in Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. Our first item is number 4, presentations. 4.1, Complete Streets Draft Plan Presentation.
Thank you, Chair Faust. I'd like to introduce Jenny McConville from our Capital Improvement Division of our Engineering Department to start off this presentation.
Good evening, commissioners, staff, and members of the public. My name is Jenny McConville, and I am the Management Analyst for the Capital Improvement Program Division of Public Works for the City of Menifee. And for the last year and a half, I've had the pleasure of being the project manager for the Complete Streets Plan. We are in the last couple months of wrapping up the Complete Streets Plan. We plan to take the plan for adoption to council on the 17th of July. So we're just kind of finalizing the drawings and the concepts and the priority areas. We did quite a robust community outreach effort. Some of you were involved in our advisory team, which we thank you for your time and support on that. And we just really look forward to seeing what the Complete Streets approach can do for the City of Menifee, for our pedestrian, bicycle, and trail networks. And we wanted to just give you a little overview of what the forecast might look like for the City of Menifee for our future projects and development. I have with me Tom Brutulis from K2NA, which you are all familiar with. They did our active transportation plan as well as our parks master plan. And he will be giving the presentation this evening. Tom?
Thank you, Jenny. Good afternoon, good evening. So I'm Tom Brutulis. I'm a senior associate with K2NA. K2NA Urban Planning and Landscape Architecture is our full name. So the Complete Streets background. How will the plan benefit the city? It's a little, Jenny already touched on this already, but basically it'll create a guide towards safe and comfortable network citywide to accommodate all modes, people walking, biking, driving, busing. And as the Parks and Recs and Trails Committee, it'll definitely help with trails and with parks and with recreation in the City of Menifee. It was administered, the funds were administered through Caltrans, through a grant, so taxpayer money from local taxpayer money from Menifee didn't have to get spent on it, which is kind of nice. It began in February of last year. We've recently finished the plan. Now we're just going to various committees and commissions, and ultimately on the 17th of July, we anticipate it getting adopted by City Council in Menifee. The project team, as you can see below, there is us, K2NA, Kimberly Horn. They helped with a lot of the CAD drawings. Riverside University Health System helped with a lot of the outreach, and of course the City of Menifee. And on the right, you can see that we didn't start from scratch. We started with the 2020 Active Transportation Plan, which you're all familiar with, and we built off of there. That one didn't go in as much detail as we did, made broader recommendations, where we came in with some engineering drawings and to have a little bit more grant ready so we can get to building these things. We did quite a bit of outreach for this project. We created this project advisory team where we met in here, pretty good selection of technical folks that advised us on the project, all through the project. You can see we had 4 meetings throughout the last year and a half. On the left, you can see that there. We had pop-up events, the Independence Day celebration, the Clear Air Day Expo, where we piggybacked on other events. We really had hundreds of people we were able to interact with, really get the word out about this. And then we had a very intense 3-day design charrette, where for like 3 days nonstop, We went out, gave workshops, gave walk audits. We even did walking bingo, which was really fun with a group of folks. At one point, we had an entire cross-country team that came in, and we told them all about the project, and they gave us lots of advice and feedback and recommendations on where they want to see streets better. So we did quite a bit, including the outreach, which helped inform what projects we would select. And the ranking of our projects, we did a lot of analysis that also went into project prioritization, including looking at destinations and attractions and the proximity and the latent demand for where people might want to walk and bike. We looked at a sidewalk gap analysis where sidewalks are needed. We looked at pedestrian collisions and hotspots for pedestrians. You can see it's kind of intuitive where a lot of the commercial activity is. Of course, there were more pedestrian collisions, also the bicycle collisions and hotspots, as you can see in these images. Ultimately, we used all this analysis and public outreach and interaction with city staff and our PAT, our project advisory team, to develop our top 25 projects, and ultimately our top 5 projects we made engineering drawings for up to the 30% level, so not quite construction level, but up 30%, which is typically what you need to apply for a grant. And then for those projects 6 through 20, we developed some pretty simple cut sheets with callouts without going into too much detail. And these next few slides, I'll show you the first 5 projects, just a little snippet of what they might have been about. And then I just have one slide for projects 6 through 20, just to show you one example of a cut sheet. And on the right, you can see there where they're located, the 5 projects in purple, and then those projects 16 to 20 in orange. And they, the 20 projects cover the city pretty well. Given that you are the Parks, Recs, and Trails Commission, I'm sure you're very interested in proposed trails from the Parks Master Plan, which we also worked on. And you can see here the existing Salt Creek Trail is highlighted, as well as the future Salt Creek Trail segment, which is proposed and in dashed green there on the right. And we thought about these parks, we thought about the trails as we're developing our network. We wanted to connect in with these existing and proposed trails. You can see that here. Did the same thing with the parks. Here you can see the proposed parks, and we thought carefully about how do we connect, how do we make sure people can get to the parks, get from the parks, especially if they want to walk or bike, they can do that. Maybe they can spend their Sunday walking to the park with their family. So you can see ultimately our goal is for better access to parks, to trails, to open space. We'd like to complete the bike network, encourage the use of trails and parks and active travel, and promote, as we all do, active lifestyles. So what will these recommendations look like in the final plan? And behind, in the background, you can see a CAD drawing. It might be hard to tell because what we did was we took an aerial photo and we drew over that with CAD lines. But if you look carefully, you can see the white dashed lines of the lane lines, and then we added the text. So we basically drew lines on an aerial image and little traffic signals. And that's where our design went. In the lower right, you can see the 3D renderings to give us a little bit better idea of what it would actually look like. And I'll show you 5 renderings for the top 5 projects in the next few slides. And then the left, treatment explanations, including class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4. We didn't really have much class 3 or class 4, mostly class 1 and class 2. In fact, I think it's all of our projects were either class 1 or class 2, or some mixture of class 1 multi-use path, as you can see there, or class 2 bicycle lanes. Also, we had buffered bicycle lanes where we had a painted lane with a painted buffer. And I can show you what that looks like in the next 5 slides. So, project 105, Paloma Valley High School. You can see here we had buffer bike lanes and a multi-use path. And then in the top, you can see some examples of what a buffered bike lane looks like. On the right, you can see what we call Kermit, but it's basically green conflict markings. In some cases where the motor vehicle path crosses the bicycle path, we use these green boxes They're actually made out of thermoplastic, so they're relatively long-lasting. And they work really well to highlight the cyclists and reduce conflicts. And then in the middle there, you might not know exactly what that is right away, but the little yellow and black, it's a rubber hardened center line. And the idea with that is motorists will turn around that to stay in their lane and not kind of cross diagonally over the crosswalk, which leads to a more comfortable and a more safe pedestrian environment as you cross. You have a more expected place where the vehicle is going to cross the pedestrian crosswalk instead of just crossing willy-nilly. And I'm sure we've all been in that situation where we're crossing here, where we're walking and this car is in the crosswalk and we're like, hey, I'm walking here, right? So project 2 of 5, like I said, it's mostly either going to be multi-use path or a buffered bike lane, and here we can see a buffered bike lane on the left and some of the same images on the right. Project 3 of 5. In this case, we actually added the proposed Salt Creek Trail, which you're all very familiar with, and you can see on the right of the screen where it comes up, crosses Antelope Road, goes through a parking lot, goes to the left of the screen, and actually connects with an existing trail there, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. So we made sure we accounted for these in our design. Project 4 of 5, multi-use path and a buffered bike lane on Hahn Road. And then project 5 of 5, Scott Road, buffered bike lanes on both sides of the road, as you can see there. Project 6 through 20, as promised, were just call-outs. More simple, we didn't do engineering drawings. We just made some recommendations over an aerial image. You can see on the left, proposed bike facilities from class 1 to class 4, and then in the yellow star, just some special projects in need of extra review by the city. Last but not least, the contents of the final plan. We have these 5 chapters that I'm sure you've all read this cover to cover. It's riveting writing. Thank you. Introduction, existing conditions, community engagement, recommendations, and finally funding implementation, which is arguably the most important part. Once we have this, what do we do with it? How do we move forward with this? Well, you looked at that chapter 5. It's a path, if you will, to what to do for next steps. Where do we get funding from? What kind of grants do we apply? How do we implement it? What timelines are we looking at? That's number 5. It's a cookbook of our recommendations for next step to actually take this plan and make something with it. And with that, I'll pass it back over to Jenny.
Do you guys have any? Sure. Do you have any questions for us?
Commissioners, any questions specifically? Bill, go ahead.
I want to thank you too for doing this. I was part of the process, and especially Tom, your knowledge and experience and where you've been around the world and what you've done. The Newport Road project, does that include trying to get bike lanes across the bridge for 215?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, because that's right now is super dangerous.
Yes, we agree.
Yes, and Paloma Valley High School, I really appreciate that being number 1 because that's a big need with all the students there and the parents coming to pick up their students and students driving and all, and I think that's a huge need, so I appreciate that being number 1 on the list. And again, thank you for what you guys did.
Thank you. Thank you for being a part of the advisory team.
Yeah, that was great.
Thank you, Bill. Anyone else, Mo? Or Les? I want to thank you also for your work, and I wanted to ask, how many years is this plan good for? Are we projecting out for the next 4 or 5 years?
Typically, planning documents are updated every 5 years. That would be our goal, is to come back and update every 5 years, especially as Menifee's growing quite rapidly. We definitely want to try to stick to that 5-year update.
Very good. And just to clarify, Project 5 is the bridge over Scott Bridge over the freeway, over the 215. It's from Hahn to Antelope, so that includes making a bike path across the existing bridge? Is that-
We did not include the bridge. It was only on street facilities. But we went leading up to it, but not over the bridge.
Is there already existing
We have
on
an
one side?
We have an upcoming project right now to widen Scott Road, and its ultimate width, I believe, is 6 lanes. So the facilities over the overpass, we will have to kind of look at that as we expand and widen Scott Road and incorporate that into those future projects.
Okay, I just, when it says Han Road to Antelope Road, there's not much there, but, except the bridge, right?
Yeah, did
I
we
mean, you
do?
got a shopping center at each corner, but,
Right.
so I'm kind of unclear what the actual scope of that work is.
And for
This is Scott Road, Han to Antelope, which is the parallel roads on either side of the 215.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Want to bring up that?
Is there a way to bring up the plan?
Mm-mm.
Because I think I think it's a big L shape. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and look at it. I don't
Yeah.
believe that we added anything over the freeway, though.
We did not add anything over the freeway for Han.
It was mostly at Antelope and Scott that we focused on.
Yeah, but for Han, I believe, or for Scott, sorry, there was an L shape, so it went around the block. If that makes any sense.
Okay, yeah, this just doesn't show the detail. But it just, when the little subtitle said Honda Antelope,
Yeah.
that's
It was hard.
where I was confused,
Yeah,
okay.
it was hard to explain. We probably should have said, it makes an L shape, so it's on 2 streets. One's a north-south, the other's an east-west.
So it's more Scott and Han side, where the expansion of the road is?
No, it's more Scott and Antelope.
On the east side? of
Yes,
the freeway.
correct.
Okay.
Because on the west side, we have the Scott Road widening project,
Which
which
will
will
incorporate.
already incorporate some of the bicycle lane, it will incorporate bicycle lanes. And I believe that we're doing paved walkways, but we'll wait until we have the ultimate width to do the pedestrian facilities there as well.
We can bring up, can you bring up the slideshow again?
Oh, yeah. IT, can you bring up the presentation, please?
Yeah, it didn't show a lot of,
Yeah.
Let me just go to
let's
one
go back
second.
a few pages. Yeah, one of the initial maps.
Yeah, right there.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
see the-
look for, you're asking about Scott, number 5?
yeah, I can see the way it, even drawn the drawing, it looks like it goes, oh, it's a new section between Han and Antelope. But it's really just on the right side there, on the east side of, that we're talking about. On Scott at Antelope,
Right, yeah, the L shape was,
part of Antelope.
Yeah, no, we're looking down at the south side.
yeah.
Okay,
I can't honestly remember what we did at Han and Antelope. I'll have to look and see. I think we might have tried to make that transition because,
We do have an image of Scott, right? So if you go to Scott, we do have buffer bike lanes on both sides.
yeah, but that's Antelope and Scott.
So, but isn't that what he's asking about, is Scott Road?
Yeah, but he's
Honda Road?
asking about the Han, the west side.
Oh, the west side. Oh, the west side that hasn't been developed yet?
yeah, well,
the-
we just built, redid the bridge. I can't remember if the existing bridge
Yeah, the interchange.
has a bike lane or a sidewalk across one side of
Yeah,
it.
we were told there's an existing project there.
Okay,
Just put a box around it and say, look, existing project, tie into existing project.
okay,
Yeah, so we didn't want to reinvent the wheel by designing something when there's already a separate project there.
So the Scott Road widening project that we are actually pursuing funding for right now, we did actually receive a couple grants on it already, but that will take care of the west side
okay.
and connect that to the bridge. And then this project will, I have to look back and see what is at Han and Scott, because I'm not sure if there's anything in this project. But this project specifically will improve Antelope and Scott and connect those bicycle facilities.
Okay, thanks for clarifying. Thank you again for your presentation today, Tom.
Thank
Jenny.
you.
Appreciate it. Item 5, approval of minutes, 5.1, May 2nd, 2024, PRTC regular meeting minutes. Any discussion on the minutes? Any corrections needed? Okay, can I have a motion to approve?
I'll move on that one.
Okay, a second? Okay, thank you. Minutes of the May 2nd meeting are approved. Number 6, agenda approval or modifications. Do we have any modifications to the agenda?
No modifications, Chair Faust.
Super, thank you. Number 7, public comments. Any public comments on non-agenda items? Non-agenda items? Okay. So
We do-
we'll give you an opportunity. Are you Amanda? Okay, we'll give you an opportunity when we come to that time. Okay. So no public comments, so we'll go to number 8, discussion items. 8.1, community center design and programming.
And I'm going to have Ms. Mitchell introduce this item.
All right, good evening, Chair and Commissioners. As you know, I'm going to give a brief overview of our new community center that we're in the design process for. This is the parcel of land that's located directly next to the Menifee Library, and we awarded the contract to our consultant, TSK, to kind of go through the entire design process from start to finish, specifications, engineering, all that good stuff. And so we're at the very beginning of this process. We recently had our community engagement meeting that took place on April 25th. And so here we have with us today is TSK. We have Bill Dennis, who's representing our consultants, that will kind of give you, I'm not going to steal his thunder, he's got a lot of information to share with you. Just a lot of the information that was garnered from the surveys, community engagement, and kind of the next steps and direction for the programming of the community center. So with that, I'll turn it over to Bill.
Thank you, Mariana, Bryce, Jonathan, Nancy, community members here and online, and thank you to the Commission for having me here today. I want to reiterate something that Mariana said, is that this is a very early stage of the project. It's what we call pre-design and programming. And so what we're doing is a lot of discovery about what will be designed within the building and also some of the guiding principles for the aesthetic and architectural systems within. I'm Bill Dennis. I'm the principal in charge with TSK of this project, so I'm responsible for the overall architecture and engineering of this space. 2 people who couldn't be here with me is the principal architect, Jonathan Rickert, and the principal designer, Daniel Hidalgo. They extended their Juneteenth vacation over the weekend, and so I'm here with you today. So as Mariana mentioned, one of the first steps that we wanted to do was start a community outreach process and start to kind of get the temperature of the community and what they would want to see in this space so we could start to develop a few different options for a tablature of the types of rooms and uses that would be found in this building. We asked some of the questions that regard some of the efficiency uses of the building, specifically water and energy efficiency. And we found, as we thought we would, that overwhelmingly people were interested in having a highly efficient and water conservative building. Additional to that, we asked about a variety of room sizes, occupancy types, uses, and whether or not they felt like that at any time they would use a room of, we have 20 to 30, 50 to 100, and then upwards up to a ballroom size or exposition size, 350 person room. And we found that, for the medium size, we're like out of a 3 of a 5 on there. And so, the average is there that they would want to see something of that nature where you can hold a classroom, small meeting events. And if I go to the next slide, we can see that even for the larger room, for 350 people, there was a large response in the affirmative for that. In the desire to be flexible and meeting with city staff, we've kind of devised a plan that we would be designing this to where that 350 room space can actually be divided into 4 rooms as well. Highly flexible for change in time. 50 years from now, might want to be used for something different than it is going to be in a year from now. Other questions we asked were amenities to get people to gather at the place. Would people like to see spaces that support farmers markets, trade shows, expositions? Things like car shows or sporting events or outdoor performance spaces, indoor performance spaces. And you can see that there was a lot of support for things that would be like farmers markets, trade shows, people gathering for specific events. As I know that the city holds a lot of events that are important to the community, and those can be held here as well. And then one of the questions that we also asked was whether or not there would be the need or the use for clubs to come in and use some sort of a warming kitchen or food preparatory area. where, you know, if you're having a fundraiser for a local running club, they can serve meals out of there, and there was overwhelming support for that as well. One of the biggest yeses on our survey was whether or not people would like to see public art specifically displayed within the building, and as you can see, only 5% responded no in this, and the rest were in the affirmative. And so this will be designed to be a great place to have, you know, revolving art shows or things of that nature, or permanent and fixed art installations as well. And then to get an idea of our designing for parking lots and in support for public transportation, we asked what types of transportation people might be taking to the community center, in which 214 people said that they would be taking their personal vehicle here, and some support for public transit and then alternative means like bicycles. I'm not sure what other means in this case for the 3 people that said that. Maybe one of those one-wheel skateboards, you know, as you go around, but you know, I'll leave that to them. Rollerblades maybe. So as far as surveys go, we got about 232 people, I think, that responded to this. And you think about, you know, the population of Menifee, and that may not seem like a large number, but statistically speaking, it is a pretty good turnout for a survey of this nature, especially programmatic one. You know, even up in Los Angeles, we don't get those kind of numbers in it, so it was a good turnout on the survey. So we use the survey data, and I'm actually going to jump ahead. I'll go back. And we use the survey data to take a look at some certain points of how we're going to mask the site up, basically blocking out where we're going to put specific uses, and also in using the conceptual design plan that was produced and approved by the preceding architect to us. You know, they had the building kind of masked towards the back of the site off of La Piedra, and then working with the city staff, affirmed that that would be the kind of site orientation that we would be pursuing. And so this is like our first major design principle that is established, is the massing and blocking out of this site, where we have the community center kind of tucked towards the back, so that way we allow for this large outdoor space to kind of extend out from that frontward facing portion of the building and kind of become what is thematically going to be like a front porch to the community, if you can imagine things of that nature. People gathering out on the front porch, and where people can be seen and the use of the building can be seen, and it might inspire others to stop and see what's going on over there. In front of that front porch, you see additional parking, and there's a tabulation in this presentation for the amount of stalls that are required by the municipal code to add for this space. And as well as during our community workshop that I'll talk about again in a little bit, quite a few community members had mentioned that during certain events around the city, the library parking lot gets rather overflowed and people park in the neighborhoods around it, so this can help maybe alleviate some of that in the neighborhood next door. Another comment, and this especially came from the councilwoman and the mayor, was that they want the campus to have, you know, an architectural vernacular that speaks to the other building that's already there. There's this beautiful library that's recently built. It's got a very contemporary look. It's got some great passive efficiency features on it. Tall glazing. It's a very welcoming space. It's very open inside. And so this is a general aesthetic study of that building, and this is our second major design principle. And that will be taking some of the elements and not copying them over onto the new community center, but doing things that reference each other. Things, you know, louvered shading, and you can barely see it in the picture there, but in the bottom right, there's sort of like some architectural fins that come off of the south-facing windows, and those are great intelligent shading apparatus to shade the building at appropriate times during the sun cycle. Brings me to number 3. This is a very technical looking drawing, but this is an analysis of how the sun at any time of the year moves over this site, from both equinoxes to in between. And so we produced a better looking one, so that way it's a little bit easier to understand, because even the other one gets a little innocuous for me sometimes. But as we can see, this one specifically is from December 21st, which is the winter solstice. And you can see how low the sun is in the sky all the way up to the summer solstice, when the sun's practically directed overhead, and how we're transiting over the site. This is big design principle number 3. and it's going to allow us to intelligently shade this project without using other means of energized systems to help make it the most efficient building that we can within the budget. Also showing on there is what we call a windflower. You can see it kind of superimposed onto the neighborhood there, and some wavy lines to show the prevailing winds during this time of the year. In our next phase, the schematic design phase, there will be a specific diagram of this nature for every single month of the year. And so that way we can specifically take all of that data and put it into passive systems for this building to be as efficient as possible. With the environmental data we just took, we started to come up with landscaping principles, and this is our major design principle number 4, and that is to provide intelligent shading around the site for people to gather and use even during hot months. Shaded spaces can be drastically cooler than spaces that aren't shaded, but also one of the more cost-effective ways of making a building more efficient is to effectively shade it during any time of the year. And it doesn't always have to be built structures. It can be intelligent landscaping, beautiful trees, and so we can bring some of that outdoor element, and our landscape architects, EPT, will be working to flesh this out in the next phase of design. Because the library is next door, and there's going to be people who park there, people who go in the library, maybe grab a book. We envision maybe people grab books and walk over to the community center and either lunch outside and read. We're taking a look at safety for pedestrians transiting across that parking lot. And so this is another design principle, is that we want people to encourage people to interact with both places and to be able to do that safely across the parking lot. So we have some fun pictures of some inspirational ideas of how we could improve just kind of the boring old crosswalk. This is the parking analysis diagram. What we come up with for the use of the space is that we would require 52 additional spaces to be placed on site. And there's not much else to say about this slide, so we can move on. This is the big important one for today. This is what we've been working on with the city staff, what we've been working on with the community, and ultimately what culminated in a design workshop with the community. As Mariana says, held on April 25th. We had a great turnout for it. A lot of people provided valuable opinions. And so based on the survey and the work we had done with city staff before this workshop, we provided 3 options to the community to do what we call a red dot, green dot exercise, essentially voting on which one they liked the best. We provided an option that was a very large gym, highly supported our athletic activities. A common word we heard a lot was pickleball when we were doing the surveys. And so we kind of started to go towards like the large gymnasium area, but then we started to get feedback that also there was the need for support for dance classes, karate classes, and other types of athletic events. So we provided option C, which was a kind of mix between having a large gym that can support things like pickleball and volleyball, but then also dance studio and karate studio and things of that nature. I went a little backwards because I want to do option A last, because that's the one that obviously has an overwhelming amount of green dots on it. And this one actually gets rid of the large gym space altogether and provides for a 2,500 square foot visual and performing arts center, theater within it, as well as classrooms that are designed to support activities such as dance, karate, yoga, and can't think of any other ideas. But essentially we would face these classrooms towards that front porch I was talking to you about. Our idea is that big, beautiful walls can open up to that front porch, and so you can have yoga classes spill out. But in the same respect, if you're having an outdoor event, those walls can open up and support that event as well. Also within there, you see that there's there's like a myriad of meeting space sizes. There's the large meeting space. It's kind of divided into 4 pieces now, but that's to indicate that we would be able to have the flexibility to make that 4 smaller spaces or open it up completely to a large exposition area. And so in the end, after we took that, we came back to the city staff and we worked, and we got some very good input again from members of the community who actually ended up wanting to ditch some of the the smaller meeting areas that are shown there on the left of option A. They said they're too small, they don't support us. We'd rather take that square footage and have things like storage available for clubs that would meet regularly. The VFW had mentioned meeting regularly and maybe some sort of storage in that manner. And so we actually took the same idea that we would do with the large room, being able to split into 4, and we took the 2 mediums and made those flexible so where we could potentially split those into 2 in each space respectively. The visual and performing arts space, when we had created this, this presentation for the 6th, we actually went back and kind of studied what we would be able to put in 2,500 square feet. We're actually looking at more about 120 seats in that space. This, just so you know, is not a floor plan. This is an adjacency diagram to where we show that the relationship of all of these kind of revolve around a lobby, and that lobby serves to act as art gallery. It serves to act as front of the house for the Visual and Performing Arts Center, as well as, you know, a nice entryway for staff and community members to come in, transiting to either the large meeting rooms or et cetera. The next stage is when we will start to put these shapes together. I always talk, you know, a lot in like computer design and graphic design. Is right now we're like in a very 8-bit mode, and in the next phase we'll take it up to 16 bits and 32 bits, and this will start to get more detailed. And the next presentation we have with you will likely have floor plans and programmatic plans like that, as well as site diagrams. But for now, this is the program that we have worked tirelessly with the city on and listened intently to the community. And I present it here for questions, review, and approval. That's the end of it.
Thank you, Mr. Dennis. Appreciate that. Questions from the commission? Bill?
Yeah, thank you for this. Can we go back to that last, I like option, this option here. And public art display, would that then be in the lobby? Or would that be part of the visual and performing arts space?
So envisioned it would be as part of the lobby. Theoretically, it could be any part of the outdoor space as well. If there's a local sculptor who might want to donate, or the city would purchase a permanent installation. You know, things like that could be either coordinated with us or after the fact. But we want to provide as many spaces as possible that can be sort of flexible in that manner. You know, any one of those meeting areas or the exhibit hall can be used for pop-up installations, if that were so to say. And public art could also mean public, you know, plays or musicals or things of that nature.
Thank you. And the 4 large meeting rooms, they could be combined into one 240 occupant room?
Yeah, so architecturally speaking, it would be one space, and we would be implementing different types of flexible walls that can easily, by a single staff member, be shut, closed, and locked together, or completely open in the way you would see like an exhibit hall for any type of trade show, or you know, there's options to design the flooring type to even support some sort of indoor physical event. Like we'd be able to fit some pickleball in there. It wouldn't be permanent installations of it, but it could have that type of use if the flooring was designed for it.
Yeah, and I appreciate the meeting rooms. I know there is a need for meeting rooms, especially in the evening. I know the library closes at 6 p.m. They have rooms there, so this is wonderful to have meeting rooms available for the public, for the nonprofits, for the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, et cetera.
Absolutely. And we spoke to the librarian next door, and she says that she books full, and they have the study pods that are kind of inside the main book area there. She says she books full all the time, and so having additional space likely might have some interconnectivity between the programs, but definitely from what we heard from groups like the VFW, it would definitely be a space that they would like to use.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Les?
In option B and C, there's a large space. It's actually really hard to read. I thought in the actual digital PowerPoint version I could zoom in, but what are those two designated as for their purpose?
Is this for the orange spaces shown in there?
Right,
Or-
the
yeah,
two large ones.
Yeah, so in option B, that was the full physical, basically having like a physical athletic center, where it can be used
Gymnasium,
as like,
essentially,
yeah,
or-
like exactly a gymnasium, basketball, volleyball, things like that can be supported in there. So that was kind of like our first idea. It can still act as a place where an expo can happen, trade shows, but it was primarily designed to support physical activity.
And that would be also for option C as well.
As well for option C, just on a smaller scale, so it's kind of doing half the visual performing arts thing and half of the phys ed kind of thing. You know, but it condenses both of them into smaller spaces that would limit it on what's supported in either one of them. And so, but we wanted to present it to the community because they would have an idea of how they would use it. And I mean, as we can tell, they didn't like it. So.
And then as far as the parking goes, is the idea then to share the parking between the library and vice versa?
So per the code, we have to allocate the amount of parking specifically for the community center, and we can't use the library's parking as part of the tabulation, and so we do need to add additional. I would assume that both parking lots would be used by either, but that becomes more of an operations, I think. We'll definitely design them, I think, for interconnectivity because they're going to have a single entrance as well on La Piedra.
Thank you.
Thank you, Les. Any other questions, Mo? Okay, thanks. No, it sounds like the community likes that option A from all the out meetings that we've had with kind of visual performing arts kind of trumping indoor gymnasium, and certainly the need for meeting spaces, both small, large, and very large, because I mean, a lot of, or the city has had to rent the Fairview hotel space, and so having our own large meeting rooms for gatherings like, you know, the annual events and things like that are great. And there's a great need for visual and performing arts as well here in the city, indoors. And I think we're heading in the right direction here. And so what's the recommendation that they'd like from staff, staff would like from the PRTC? Review and approve the recommended programming. So basically, we're kind of giving the green light that we're on the right direction?
Yes, we'd like you to affirm the direction of the programming to be in the route of visual arts and visual and performing arts so that we can continue moving forward with the design.
Okay.
One thing real quick.
Sure.
Is option B and C, are they off the table at this point? Is it going to be focusing mainly on option A?
I think with the community responses and the direction we're getting from city staff, maybe Mariano, you want to speak to that, or?
Yeah, at this point, because of the community outreach and the input that we've received, we have to make a decision on how to continue moving forward. So we're primarily, staff is recommending the programming of option A.
Because the one thing, you know, a lot of churches, they have essentially what they might call like a cultural center or a multi-purpose room where it's a basketball court where they also have a stage. So it kind of serves both purposes as far as, you know, allowing an indoor athletic kind of a deal. Plus, you know, I mean, for actually multiples of these purposes, was that considered at all, or is it?
Yeah, I think that was more along the lines of option C, where it kind of had a little bit of both, or even, you know, option B that had the larger gymnasium. The input that we received from the public was if we're going to do something, the public generally wants it to be done well. And so with theater and performing arts being very specific in the type of building facility setup and the type of amenities that are involved in a theater production, it's very difficult to have that kind of flexibility in that type of room. So, which is why I believe that the residents were more in line with, you know, option A.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
I do have a question.
Go ahead,
As far as the meeting rooms, there's four big meeting rooms with capacity of 60. Is that like a big ballroom or a big room with walls that divide them? And then if you have a group of 240 participants or people, do you move the walls and it just becomes a big
Yeah,
room?
that's exactly right. It's essentially like an accordion door,
Right.
where it would slide all the way back and open it up to the full exposure of the room, or you can individually portion it off into 4. You can do it into 3. You can do it into 2 long rectangular ones. You know, it's not infinitely flexible, but you do have at least a few different options for sizes and the potential for multiple events to happen. Or, you know, a lot of like professional type conferences now, they do a lot of breakout rooms, and so this would allow that if you need more breakout rooms than the 4 that would be provided from the flexible medium ones, then you can have an additional 4 by breaking the large one into 4.
Okay. And then energy efficiency seems to be a priority based on that first slide. Is there any sort of solar panels or any other type of energy that's going to be used here?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we're a little early in design for that. We will know the full extent of the solar capacity for this building once we get a footprint and we have our roof area set. It is required for this building to have it, so it will have it. I can't give you a number about, how many kilowatt hours it would be performing.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Mo. Yeah, I understand that there's a segment of this city, we don't have any indoor gymnasiums that the city owns. That's correct?
That's correct.
And we don't have any indoor theater facilities either, too. But when we put it out to the community, the majority really wanted for this facility to focus more on the arts and theater type than indoor gym.
And,
Yeah.
and to go along with that, sorry, Mariana.
Oh, no, I was going to say,
Is
if I
that
could
correct
add, at the
assumption?
community meeting, I think it became very apparent, the location of it as well, because although it's not a city-owned and operated gym, there's one
Across the
directly
street.
across the street, so that may have something to do with it as well.
Okay. Yeah, so can I have a motion to recommend and approve the programming as presented on this community center? You'd like to make a motion to go forward? To approve? Bill?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve option A.
Anyone second that? I will second that then. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay, unanimous then. Thank you. Thank you, Bill.
Great, thank you for your time.
Appreciate that. Item 8.2, Sun City Green Space Final Conceptual Design. And the recommended action is that review and recommend the selection of the final Sun City Green Space Conceptual Design.
All right, I'll take this one as well. So Sun City Green Space, as we know, is the empty portion of land adjacent to the Faith Lutheran Church down in Sun City off of Portsmouth. This is a project that is being funded partially by the California Natural Resource Agency for the land acquisition, and then the city is taking the lead on the design and development of the park. So this has been in the process for some time. As we know, we had a community engagement meeting that took place on March 4th, which had a tremendous turnout from Sun City residents, had a lot of input, a lot of concerns about safety and security, but then also taking a look at what this type of passive park, passive green space area could bring as far as amenities are concerned. And then we have been working with our consultant, BMLA, Landscape Architecture, to kind of take that information, create some designs, and they came back to PRTC to present two options back in May. And then from that, we had decided to have them present the same two options to our senior advisory committee, since they play such a big role in advocating for our seniors, and were a part of us obtaining the grant for CNRA to actually acquire the land. And when we're discussing the options, there was a definite appeal of option 2, which was labeled as Sun City Creek. And so what we're doing today is bringing back the both of these designs to PRTC so that we can get a final recommendation. And we're hoping that that you guys can support the Senior Advisory Committee's desire for Sun City Creek. So I'm going to move on to the design. And some of the comments that we received from the Senior Advisory Committee is that it seemed more, a creek, seemed more along the lines of what they were looking for, that peacefulness, the gardens, and just, the opportunity to have some of those art spaces and places for reflection while still having some of that activity component seemed to be what they enjoyed most about this. So if there's anything that PRTC would like to recommend in addition to what we have here, or if there's elements from the option 1, which is the Sun City Loop, which is focused on activity, fitness, different kind of movement in and around the park, we're willing to take some of that feedback so we can finalize this design. And that way BMLA can have their direction to continue moving forward with the final design of all of this. So we're available for any questions and looking to some feedback.
Okay, thank you, Mariana. Any questions or comments, commissioners?
What was the senior advisory committee's recommendation between?
Their preference was the Sun City Creek, option 2.
Any other comments?
I like Sun City Creek, and think we should move forward with that. There are water fountains in this park.
Yes.
They're not, are they shown on the design?
No, they're not. We don't go into that much of a detail. It'll be called out with the amenities. Like you can't quite see all the trash receptacles and things. That they show where benches would be, but there will be water fountains throughout the park.
Okay. I like the group fitness area. Group fitness area with shaded trees versus the individual fitness stations along. I think you might get more seniors involved, and then it's more social as well for people to do that. I do like Sun City Creek.
Thank you, Bill. Mo?
I like it as well. What's the book puzzle library? Is it just like a little, I see it's like a little shed? Is that what it is?
Yeah, if you've seen, I believe there's one right outside of Lazy Creek Recreation Center. There's kind of like these little cabinets that are open and available to the public, and people can swap out books or puzzles or activities that are just available to residents to come and take part in.
So that picture that's on there doesn't mean it'd be exactly like a puzzle or a library, but it's exchanges like that. So you read a book, you leave one in there, someone else takes a book, but you can also do puzzles, games, different things like that.
Right, and just for the scale of it, it's not the size of a shed. It's more the size of like a large mailbox.
Like a big
Okay.
mailbox.
It's made to look like a house, but yeah, it's not.
It's on a pedestal typically,
No.
right?
Yeah, it's kind of cut off on the bottom, but yeah, it's like
It's not like a 4x4 post, so it's not that big. Yeah.
Yeah.
So considering the people live in that neighborhood, I like Sun City Creek as well.
Well, I do too, and Sun City Creek seems like it has unanimous support from the PRTC. So let's move ahead with that recommendation. Okay, 8.3, Gale Webb Action Sports Park Restroom Project. Project near and dear to Bryce's heart.
Oh, yeah.
Are you going to take the lead on this, Bryce?
Yes, I am.
All right,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I got a break for a little while there. So as we all know, back in 2022, built the Gale Webb Action Sports Park, the bike park out there. Since then, we've had temporary, two just temporary restrooms at the facility. We've increased from once a week to twice a week, just cleaning those. That bike park is heavily used. So a restroom is inevitably, it is needed that's there at the park. So currently we have available was $200,000, but going back when we built the park, and I'll go through some of this. So when we were building the park, we were spanning the street. The sewer line was actually inside that design. We went through a similar design with EMWD going through it, but the problem was that the sewer line was too shallow. EMWD denied it, and at the time we would have had to have a pump station and different things that we just didn't have funding for that was going to just increase the project a lot. So that's why we moved forward, so we could still build the park. It wouldn't hold the project up, expand the street, and be able to open that and use temporary restrooms for that. So back in April of this year, we took to council for a pit restroom, which is what you see at a national park. It doesn't flush. It's just a larger pit, but it's still a structure, a nice structure that's there, but doesn't have running water inside of it. There'd be washing stations outside, but that's what we brought to council. So what council had recommended as we table that, and then what we would do is look for either some different options or some grants. We looked everywhere. We looked through a lot of different places for grants. For a restroom facility, it was hard to find something just specified for that, and we couldn't find anything that even a 50-50 match or anything like that. We just couldn't find anything for the grants. So then that's why we decided, instead of just having like one or two options, I wanted to bring forward 4 different options for you guys to see. So the cost-wise, and the reason because of the cost of option 2, that pit restroom, it was about $146,000, and that was with the restroom installed, and then the site work. So ADA a walkway and things up to the restroom at the park. But so go to option 1, and I'll move on to some other slides that'll show some of these, but I just want to go since we're on this slide. The sewer restroom, we're looking at $445,000. We're at the minimum to cost that. We don't know exactly because we still have to go through it. We would have to do a design. We might have to do, depending on where we go, there'd be a pump station in that. So there is just your annual maintenance that we do. That's why it's at the $12,000. That's our, like we pay a year to clean Audie Murphy Park, you know, the restrooms there. So that would be those services. The prefabricated would have to add that, as well as paying annually to pump, or not annually, but biweekly to be able to pump everything out. Then we brought forward, so that's option 1 right there, and option 2. They look fairly similar. They're the same restroom. One just has running water and a sewer line into it. The other one does not, option 2. So you can tell the difference between the cost of those. So the option 2 has, that pit tank has two 1,000 gallon tanks that are underneath of it in the ground, but it's all built into those. It's a concrete tank, it can't leak out, it doesn't anything, but that's what those big exhaust pipes that are there. So if we were to do option 1, so what was denied the first time was that yellow line there that goes 820 feet. That's how far the sewer line is away from the current pump track. So what it was for it to be gravity fed was too shallow once it got to the pump track. So that way we would have had to put you'll have to put a pump station to be able to use that. Now there is the one there's literally right at the corner of Evans and Craig, there's a sewer line, but because of that culvert, we'd have to bore under that, and boring isn't cheap to be able to do that. And we probably most likely it would not be able to be gravity fed, so again, you'd have to have a pump station in there to be able to pump the sewer line down. And then the third option that was there was to trench through the entire back of the park and go all the way to Quilt Way. It's a little under 1,000 feet away to be able to connect for that sewer line. And all those are just for 2 stalls, you know, but it is needed. A restroom is needed, so I don't want to keep that out. Option 3, which was brought up by council, maybe a nicer looking one that they use at events or anything like that. So we looked into a restroom trailer, like if you were at a concert or there, instead of the porta potty that would sit there. So we looked at one of those, and the installation and cost of that's about $109,000, and then you still have your regular septic fees that you're going to do biweekly to pump those out. That option right there, it has the stairs. We'd have a ramp going up to it for ADA access and that. Eventually, if you wanted to go with that option and do the sewer line, you know, in the future, you don't know if that cost is going to start raising. You know, it's definitely not going to go down for construction. So that restroom right there, if you were to put something like that, you could possibly use somewhere else. You know, the city would be able to do that if they purchase that. But that is the purchase price of that. And then option 4 is just to keep the restrooms that are there, but to maybe build something around it, maybe build a trail up. It wouldn't have it wouldn't have like an overall cost to that. We already budgeted for maintenance issues at the park, different things like that. So we'd be able to build that into our current budget, you know, so it wouldn't change. You wouldn't have to use that $200,000 that we have allocated to this funding. We'd be able to build something similar to what you see in that picture. Maybe we can go a little nicer, or we could do anything like that kind of hides it. But it doesn't change the use, you know, of you're still using a porta potty restroom that's there. So what we're bringing for your commission tonight is is for us to see which option do you guys recommend. So we've looked into putting a septic tank. You can't put a septic tank in there. There's going to be leach lines to those. You can't have leach lines where people are at a park like that, and especially if there's a basin there. So if it gets into there water quality wise, you don't want to contaminate anything. So, but that's why we're here tonight. If you guys have any questions on any of the restrooms, I'm hoping I have the answer for you, and then we can get a good recommendation from you guys to take to council in July if we can.
Thank you, Bryce. Before I open it to the commissioners, I'd like to open it to some public comments. We have One individual, Amanda Laufer. Would you like to come to the microphone?
Hi there, good evening. My name is Amanda Laufer. Good evening, esteemed members of the Menifee Parks Recreation and Trails Commission. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. As a local community member and writer at Gale Webb Action Sports Park, I'm here to discuss restroom facilities at the park. As you know, currently 4 options are being considered, and opting for a sewer-connected restroom is the best choice for our community. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. First and foremost, a sewer restroom is the most hygienic option available. It ensures proper waste disposal, reducing the risk of contamination and unpleasant odors arising from alternate solutions like vaulted and portable toilets. This is particularly important in a park setting where families and children frequently visit and ride. Secondly, sewer restrooms provide a higher level of safety. They are more structurally sound and less prone to tipping or vandalism compared to temporary facilities. This stability is crucial in ensuring that our park remains a secure environment for all patrons, including those with disabilities and our more mature visitors, including the park's namesake, Gale Webb, who recently celebrated her 80th birthday and is a frequent visitor to the park. Accessibility is another significant advantage of sewer restrooms. They can be designed to meet ADA standards, ensuring that everyone can use the facilities comfortably and with dignity, regardless of physical ability. This inclusivity aligns with our city's commitment to providing equitable services to all residents. Furthermore, while the initial investment for a sewer restroom might be higher than other options, it's a more cost-effective solution in the long run. Maintenance costs are lower, and the durability of these restrooms ensure that they will serve our community for many years to come. In conclusion, a sewer restroom is the most hygienic, safe, and accessible option for our bike park. By choosing this option, we're investing in the health, safety, and well-being of our community. I urge the Commission to prioritize the installation of sewer-connected restrooms. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Laufer. Any questions for Amanda on her proposal? Okay, thank you for your comments. I understand, and I'm not a fan of portable toilets or even the trailer, which is really just kind of a portable toilet on wheels. But I'm concerned about the high cost of connecting the sewer. That's why I had actually asked staff to look at that leach field option with a flush toilet with a septic system and a leach field. But unfortunately, the site conditions don't allow that. But so my personal preference, given that our budget is only $200,000, if we recommended the sewer restroom, it may not happen for a while because there's no money to do that. So my recommendation is going to be option 2, a prefabricated pit restroom. It looks like looks like a permanent structure from the outside. Everyone's familiar with that in the campground situation. As long as there's sanitation facilities outside of it for hand washing and stuff, it's the lesser of the 3 pit type options, in my opinion. But as far as I guess it's the better of the 3 pit toilet options. But that's my comments. Anybody else? Bill?
Yeah, thank you. Can we go to the slide that has the sewer lines? Yeah, so directly north of that is parkland that will be a future park at some time. And I think if we look into the future, getting the sewer line to Gale Webb, then the sewer line is there for the future park north of that.
The sewer line is actually, for that future part, it's right there. It's actually, that's where the sewer line is. The reason, if you're looking at that, where it is that culvert that goes around, where it comes down on Evans and then cuts across. So there's a culvert there that's there. That's the reason you have to go under that to be able to tie into the sewer line. So the sewer line runs all north and south on Evans Road.
Okay.
So it actually, for the, it actually is right there for the other park. That's what I mean, it's not, it's right next to the park, it's just the location of it and how we have to
Okay,
get to it.
I understand.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
I do like the restroom, with the sewer restroom. And I realize we don't have the money. And I have been to plenty of national parks, and I understand the pit restrooms. I understand the pitfalls of a pit restroom. I recommend the sewer restroom, and if it takes some time to find the money, let's find the money and do it, versus spending, you know, almost $150,000 on a prefab pit restroom. You know, now, my recommendation is the sewer restroom.
Comments, Mo?
Yes, my recommendation would be the sewer restroom as well. I mean, if we look at the annual maintenance cost of $31,000 versus $12,000, I think it would quickly add up to, you know, it'd make up the difference. And yeah, if we can find the money, I'm all for sewer restroom. And I would think the other two are, would be out of the question given handicap situations and, you know, option one.
So you're basically saying the difference in maintenance costs over in 3 years would pay for the sewer restroom?
Correct.
Makes sense. Les?
This question is for Mr. Howell. What is, as far as vandalism goes, you know, I know we have our total numbers at parks in general, but what is it for restrooms? Do you have numbers on that?
We don't have exact numbers, so I don't know, because there's different types of vandalism, you know, there's graffiti, there's broken toilets, there's broken windows, you know, there's different types of things. A lot of and it depends on the location, you know, so some parks, I'll use Audie Murphy, for example. Men's restroom has been vandalized more than you could imagine in that restroom, and we put block walls into the stalls, done things. Women's restrooms, same original, nice restroom. So, you know, it just depends on where it is, so we don't have exact numbers on that now. But going off of that before, sorry to interrupt you. So what we do is the restrooms lock at night. We have different magnets or the door locks themselves. So, and then we have our ranger, regular patrols with our rangers to go through there. PD goes through. So the use of the parks they do lock at night. So it's not available. At the park, at the pump track itself, it is kind of self-patrolled itself. You know, a lot of the families that are there. So it's heavily used enough to where there's not vandalism at that park. Compared to some of the other parks where it could just be teenagers. I mean, you have dads and moms that are taking their little kids, but then you have just adults that are riding themselves. So the amount of use at the park kind of keeps that vandalism down there at the pump track.
Do you happen to know about how many residents per week visit that park?
A couple thousand, I'd say, for that park.
Okay. Yeah, as far as, you know, I mean, my personal opinion would be to go with the sewer restroom and to maybe put in portable restrooms. There's no portable restrooms currently there, is that
No,
correct?
there is portable restrooms.
Okay,
There's two of them.
gotcha.
There's two of them there right now. And if we wanted to move forward with that option one, if you guys recommend that, obviously council will have to approve. If we have to find that funding, we could even do option 4 in the meantime, where we kind of enclose them until we find that funding if we have to make it just a little bit nicer looking, or again, it's still using a portable toilet that's there, but there's those kind of options that we already have in the budget to do something like that as we go through a design or anything for a sewer line. But again, that's up to, as you guys recommend, what we take to council.
Yeah, I think, I mean, as far as going to sewer, you know, for me personally, that's just a no-brainer. I mean, it looks like it'll take about 15 years or something to meet, you know, as far as the maintenance costs would go between the prefab pit versus the sewer. I mean, 15 years, it goes by like that. So, I mean, I'd have to say, you know, I'm all for option 1 on that.
Bryce, so with option 1, is there a recommended path for, if that was to be where we would go, would we give that to engineering to say, okay, let's bore, or let's go all the way down to the south, or?
So that's what we would look at, do a cost analysis. What's going to cost?
Or a lift station?
Yeah,
too?
you know, with the lift station, if we do that 900-foot run, is it still cost effective to put a lift station in that, you know, that pump station compared to, or do we bore and we don't have to? We'd have to, that's what we would look into, just to see that. We'd have to get it designed, pull back up. We do have some of the plans, at least we know where the depth of things are because we've already shot some of that, but we still, the cost-wise, that would be our first step moving forward, is get that design for the sewer line, what's gonna be the best cost that we would do.
Okay.
I'd like to see that cost.
And that would definitely be covered under that 200,000 to be able to do that. That's already currently in there.
Bill?
Would we, the city's 1% sales tax, I can't forget what that measure's called.
Quality of life measure DD.
This is quality of life. Would we be able to procure any money from that?
It
Towards
depends. The quality of life measure is for infrastructure projects and public safety. All of it's been allocated for fiscal year 24-25. So we'd have to review that internally with our team, then go to the quality of life committee. That's the separate committee of the city with a recommendation if there's availability. So it'd be reviewed by them, but all of the available funding has been allocated. So if there's a recommendation from the Parks Commission and then City Council in July, if they agree with the recommendation to move with option one, that's what we will do as city staff. Say, okay, if that's the consensus from the commission and the City Council to look at the sewer restroom, then we'll go to work with engineering and saying, okay, well, what can we do? How long will this take? And then provide an update when we on the project. So we would start that design work that Mr. Howell mentioned, and start looking at what funding sources, you know, whether it be, you know, Measure DD or general fund or park funding that we can allocate towards getting this project fully funded so we can construct. But it would take a little bit longer because we have 200 and we have to close that gap.
Thank you.
And Bryce, just for comparison, at the last bathroom that we installed over at by the school at the park.
Flower Marsh?
Marsh Park. Yeah, what did that cost approximately? I know you had sewer adjacent, so it was.
So it's different because the sewer was right there next to it.
Yeah, but I mean the base price for a bathroom.
I believe it was $214, if I'm not.
Okay.
I'll know, but that, and then just for the construction, and that was just the slab that was right next to the street, and the sewer line was less than 50 feet. That was there, and then that one, and then the building itself. And then we had the design on top of that. So it was. I don't know off the top of my head. The building itself was 80,000. I believe the construction was 2 something, and then we had the design of it for probably another $50,000. So.
Yeah. Oh, and just to, that's a good example, but to also remind that restroom is a single user restroom. Yeah. This one's larger. It has 2 sides to it.
Okay. But yeah, so I was just going to look at, you know, if a basic restroom, if all the conditions were ideal, like over there at Marsh, is still, you know, $200,000 to $300,000.
Yes, it is.
So.
And I stated the restroom cost on that wrong. It was $56,000 for the building of that because it was a single stall.
Because it's just a single stall. But I remember reading somewhere it's about 80 grand for a.
It's about 80,000 for the
double.
Correct.
Okay. So you know that's a kind of a factor in consideration that when you compare it to a typical bathroom installation, then it doesn't look so extreme. When you're comparing against a pit toilet or a portable restroom, 450,000 plus looks extreme, but the sewer line is the issue.
Because it depends on how soon we want.
Yes, Ms. Laufer, are you willing to use a portable toilet for another year? So, so another year? Okay, all right. All right. Well, I think our city staff might be able to look at some other additional funds that maybe we could pull off that if we give them a little more time. So I think you guys convinced me to switch my vote to option 1, so it sounds like we're unanimous with recommending option 1 to City Council.
Thank you, Commission. We'll take that recommendation, and I believe we're going to City Council next month, right, July 17th?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, number 9, Community Services Department comments. 9.1, Director comments. Mr. Nix.
Thank you, Chair Faust. Just a few exciting things to announce. First off, we're very excited to receive an award from the American Planning Association recognizing our Parks Master Plan that this commission helped and the City Council helped approve last year. So you can see there's a picture there of Mariana and Bryce accepting that award. That was, what was it, end of May? May 23rd, so just a month ago. So
Who's that guy in the picture there?
I don't know. He looks kind of like Bryce,
Yeah.
but maybe, I don't know.
I was in disguise at that.
Yeah. So it's very nice to be recognized by the Professional Planning Association to have our plan on a regional level when compared to others. It really stands out. So I just wanted to congratulate our commission and with all of your participation and approval of that plan as we moved it forward. So, and then also just another update of there's a community workshop coming up for the Menifee Innovation District that's going to be led by our planning department. It's in this room next Tuesday, June 25th at 5 p.m. So letting our commissioners know if you'd like to participate, and then anyone that might be watching at home that opportunity is available. Also, just a reminder that due to the 4th of July holiday, we will not have a PRTC meeting in July in a couple weeks, which is fantastic that we're having a meeting today. So we kind of covered a lot of items. But July is also Parks Make Life Better month, and we will be bringing a proclamation to City Council on July 17th during that meeting. A reminder that City Council meeting is at 6 o'clock. Definitely invite all of our Parks Commissioners to come on down and help us proclaim that Parks Make Life Better here in Menifee. And I believe we're going to have a video and full presentation to the City Council, and this young man's going to be presenting it. So those are my updates, and I'm open for any other questions that the Commission may have.
Thanks. Director Nix, any comments, guys? Questions? Okay, thank you. 9.2, Parks in Progress update.
Okay.
Bryce.
This one, again, I don't have much of an update on that. The Legato's still in design review. There's been some work going on there, not obviously around the development, getting ready for some infrastructure on that. Sun City Green Space looks like we're going to be working on, so what was the creek? Sun City Creek, Cimarron Ridge. I just did a second plan review that went back to them last week, so we've seen the second plan check on that. So that is in the final that final plan review to make sure everything's on there for that. So we're making sure each park we do, we're trying to do a little bit better. You know, we're adding covers so we don't have to do it in the future. Coverage to the bleachers, coverage to the dugout. Obviously, the playgrounds are always. Each one has been covered more and more. So we're doing lots of little things like that will have lighting and things just to help, you know, every park should be a little bit better that's on there. And then Cantalina and Menifee Valley are still in the conceptual design. And obviously we would bring those back to you guys when we're ready on those. And that's all I have for Parks in Progress.
Thanks. 9.3, Solid Waste and Recycling. Nancy? Or,
Yeah,
no,
I'll take
Mariana.
that.
Okay. All right.
I'll take that. It's normally Corey Jones who oversees our solid waste and recycling programs, but she is on a well-deserved vacation. So I will go ahead and review some of the information that she has provided. So again, if you go out to any of our city events, you'll see a Menifee Recycles booth right next to one of our city events or out in the vendor area. And essentially, it's an opportunity for residents to get to know and learn about our solid waste and recycling programs in a fun way. So there's a game that's associated with that. We pass out the compost pails. There's also some additional giveaways for our youth to kind of get them excited about recycling. And so we've been at several events in the month of May and June and plan on being all at majority of our summer events. So come and say hi to us at Menifee Recycles if you get a chance. The other thing that we want to highlight is our Menifee Business Recycling Assistance Program. So again, this is something that's available to all businesses in the city of Menifee. And that's really unique to us. It's not something that all our local jurisdictions are doing. Menifee has decided to kind of help reach out and help out our businesses to come into compliance with some of the SB 1383 requirements of the recycling of your organics. And so what we're noticing is that now that it's been I think we're 3 years into SB 1383 now, in full implementation, that a lot of the large-scale businesses and organizations have a handle on it because it's coming from corporate, and so franchises, are doing relatively well when it comes to, sorting out waste and recycling. So it's really our mom and pop shops that, may not have the ability to discern what is needed for their business. So again, we have up to $1,000 for reimbursement. So any of our businesses can be reimbursed for signage, can be reimbursed for training, anything related to coming into compliance with SB 1383, additional educational materials. We contract out with a consultant who will actually go out on site to say, this is what you can do, this is how you can use some of the signage, and these are some of the training things that you can do. So it's really something that we're really trying to get the word out. We've sent letters out to all of our local businesses. We've done some social media highlights. So we want to make sure that everybody knows that this is available to Menifee businesses. So again, we're trying to make another push on that to our local businesses because we are here to help. And again, for the month of May, we had 26 illegal dumping requests and that were routed. And just as a tidbit, I believe our next bulky item drop-off event is going to be scheduled for September. And normally the month of September is typically hosted at Heritage High School. So it's going to be out in that area. We're just waiting on school to come back in session to secure that date. But that's it for solid waste recycling.
Thank you. 9.4, Recreation Division update.
Me again. All right, so this is our attendance and revenue information for the month of May. So here I'd like to highlight that our total revenues for the so far 23-24 fiscal year, which we're coming into the end of, is definitely over what our anticipated revenue our anticipated revenue for this year. So we've met and exceeded our revenue. And a lot of that has to do, again, with Corey and the admin team and their contract classes. We've expanded the amount of classes that we offer throughout the regular school year, as well as what we offer in the summertime. Again, we'll see a jump in the month of May because of all of our day camp registrations. And then this year also with the addition of our aquatic registrations. So lots of activity going on. As we move on to some of the updated items, this afternoon we actually hosted a scam identity and theft prevention workshop at the Case Anacero Senior Center. It was hosted in conjunction with a number of people from Riverside County, Menifee PD, to just make sure that our seniors had the appropriate information to discern what's real and not real when it comes to scams. Scams come in all forms. I believe they shared some stories about a recent scam that happened in Riverside County, where over $700,000 was scammed from one of our seniors, a senior in Riverside County. So just really trying to make sure that our seniors have the information they need to stay protected. We do anticipate hosting this type of workshop at least once a year or once every 6 months, just to make sure that we stay up to date on what's out there. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys had that information. Our Healthy Menifee is up and running. We have our new Get Fit in 6. So if anybody's interested in a boot camp, this one already started. It started on June 3rd. It starts off at the North Annex here at the Case Anacero Senior Center. But essentially, it's an opportunity for people to come out, participate in group activity classes, getting fit in 6 weeks. So the reason why it's still on here is because we anticipate on carrying this on throughout the year. So if you didn't make this first 6 weeks, keep an eye out for the next 6 weeks, which will likely happen in August when we return to our regular programming. And then we have our annual flag football program, the NFL Flag Football League, which is going to be starting back up again in August. So this is an opportunity for our youth who maybe aren't quite ready for some of the more competitive leagues to get an opportunity to play in more recreational leagues. And it's for a relatively low cost for our residents. It's $80, which is a pretty good deal. Includes uniforms, it includes referees for the games, and then participation awards and photos. So there's a lot of good stuff about this program. We encourage anybody who's interested to please register early because there is a mandatory skills assessment that takes place before the league starts. So yes, that's available at our city website on cityofmenifee.us/register. And then we do have all of our summer programming, which are completely underway. A lot of our full day camp programs are full. Some of our Tiny Tot programs are full, but there's still some opportunities for those who are interested in maybe some of our specialty camps, things like Polynesian Arts Camp or even our gymnastics camps. There's still some room in some of those spots, so we encourage anybody who's interested to please go down to our website or contact our Community Services Department to find out what is available. And then a quick update on our new summer aquatics program that's happening at Paloma Valley High School. It's been a great experience working with Paloma Valley. The staff on site have been very welcoming to our staff. It's been a great partnership, and we're excited to say that, you know, because of this partnership, we're able to offer learn to swim lessons to 90 youth a day. So every single day between the hours of 4 to 7:30, we've got kids coming in and out and learning how to swim. So it's completely full. We are establishing a wait list for these programs just because as the season progresses, we may be able to make some adjustments in the number of classes we're able to offer just based on, you know, kids leveling up from level 1 to level 2. So we encourage anybody who's interested to please give us a call. And but we do have our recreation swim and lap swim program that still has availability to anybody who's interested. Recreation swim takes place Monday through Thursday from 12 to 3 p.m. and Saturdays from 12 to 5 p.m. And then lap swim is available from Monday through Thursday, 4 to 7 p.m. Space is limited, so we ask everybody who's interested to please register in advance. There's no cash handling on site, so everything has to be done online in order to kind of help make sure that we have, you know, a safe and fun aquatics program to maintain our ratios with our lifeguards and water safety instructors. So excited about that. And then in the month of July, we have our family camp out at Lazy Creek, which again is an annual event and typically sells out relatively quickly. So if anybody's interested in participating in this, we encourage you to sign up now. I think I took a look at the numbers earlier this week, and I want to say out of 75 campsites, we're probably at 72. So I encourage anybody who's interested to come on out. And I believe that's it for recreation. So I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Any questions, guys? Mo? Or no, I'm sorry, Bill?
Well, great news about the summer aquatics program, and it's wonderful to see that the swim lessons are full. And what a great deal for rec swimming for $2 and for a resident, same as lap swim. And you know, thank you for getting this program going very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's wonderful. How long does the swim last? What's the last weekend?
The last weekend, I believe recreation swim will go until August 3rd, so that last Saturday of the end of July. So,
August 3rd, okay. Very good, okay. Let's move forward in 9.5 special events.
all right, so moving on to special events, this Friday, June 21st, we have our Go Skate Day, which is going to be taking place at Audie Murphy Ranch Skate Park. This is a part of the National Go Skate Day, so we're participating in that. It's kind of like an all-day free access, skate access to anybody who wants to come out and participate at the skate park. There's going to be a number of food vendors. There's a best trick competition and lots of freebies. Just really trying to get people to come on out and participate. And then that event's going to culminate with our Movies in the Park. So we're at around 7 o'clock. We'll be setting up for movies with the movie beginning at 8 p.m. And I believe the community vote was for The Goonies. So that is going to be our movie this Friday.
Nostalgia.
So yes, very nostalgic. So that really, the community vote, it showed. Our next movie in the park is going to be on July 19th at Underwood Park at 7 p.m. And that theme is alternate universe. And there's still time to vote for that community vote for the movie. So if anybody's interested, we encourage them to either scan the QR code or go to our city website at cityofmenifee.us/special events and cast your vote. And then moving on to the very next week, this next Saturday, we're going to be celebrating our Independence Celebration. So on June 29th at Wheatfield Park, starting at 4 p.m. is when the parade will begin. The beginning of the parade will be off of La Piedra and Antelope, moving towards Wheatfield Park. Our fireworks will begin promptly at 9, and lots of fun activities, food vendors, crafts, entertainment provided by Stone Soul, which is a relatively renowned Motown tribute band, and excited about all of the wonderful activities that will take place. This is in partnership with the Lake Menifee Women's Club, as well as our sponsors by Temecula Valley Toyota and Temecula Valley Lexus. So excited about bringing this back out to our residents. A couple things we want to make sure our residents are aware of is that there will be a road closure. La Piedra will be closed from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. from Antelope to Menifee Road. And this year we're also offering the opportunity for people who park at MSJC to ride on a shuttle to head over to Wheatfield Park. So trying to make it easier and accessible for our residents to get in and around that closure. And then rounding out our summer programmings, we have our July 26th scheduled Shakespeare in Sun City. So this is in partnership with the Sun City Civic Association, as well as Full Circle Players, who are going to be coming out and performing a live version of The Tempest. And this is going to be, like I mentioned, at Sun City Civic Association. It is open to the public, not just residents who live in Sun City. And there's a number of live entertainment, food vendors, and in partnership with the Arts Council Menifee, who are going to be assisting us with some of the artist showcases. It's really going to be a great event, and we hope and encourage everybody to come out and join us. And I believe that's it for special events. Any questions?
Wonderful. Any questions, folks? I understand Valleywide has a movie night at Wheatfield on this tomorrow night as well, competing with our movie night. So
It's not a competition.
9.6 capital improvement program update.
All right.
Right.
So I have a few updates on some of this, and then I'll go on for the big one on the for the amphitheater here on the next slide. So Evans Park North, which right across the street from the pump track. So that environmental's going on. I'll have more information. I meet with them in the middle of July for that, so this next meeting we'll have that. But they've already completed a lot of their rare plant surveys, their bird surveys. So far, so good. They're looking for the fairy shrimp because we got through the wet season. There are no fairy shrimp there, which is a good thing. All these little things that they're looking to be able to build there. Anything they have seen so far, they said there's definitely room for mitigation for anything that would happen. But again, I don't meet with them till the middle of July. It's just a minimum of a year, this process. So I'll get a big update, and we'll see where we're at for there. But so far, so good. It's looking really good for us to be able to develop on that. The Gale Webb restroom, you guys did that. The dog park, we just got the fencing agreement to us completed and routed. Our contractor just ordered the fencing, so he said it'd take about 2 weeks. Just ordered that on Monday. So here within the next couple weeks, we'll start construction on the expansion at the dog park there, adding the new amenities, drinking fountains for the dogs, everything there. So we're excited to get that started here in July, near the end of July. The street median and we are going out to bid for that. We are waiting for the final funding for that. Obviously, it was approved by council, but it won't kick in until July 1st. So we're going out to bid probably by next week for the construction of that. That's across the street from the old, there on Cherry Hills from the old golf course. And then Laladera Park, the council has already approved for the construction of the overlay of the parking lot. So that will be happening within the next month. Our CIP is working on that. They're just working on scheduling with that. They're actually doing that parking lot, so a couple other projects, and then also the KC Center, they're doing that parking lot as well. And then just the Central Park Amphitheater, as you can see, things are actually starting to erect there. The picture on the left is the back storage room. So it looks like all the steel and the foundation wall and everything that's going into that. It is a lot of steel, a lot of work that's underground work that's on this project so far. So that will be poured, that foundation we're looking to pour the first week of July. Actually, the contractor's doing that. And then as you can see on the right side, the walls, those are the pillars for where the structure will actually go. So underneath those cages are is what's already been, the pile caps have already, the piles have already been drilled and everything on there. They're 32 feet deep underneath those. There's 8 total on each one, so 16 total on each of those. So that thing is not going anywhere. As of now, this was just obviously last month, but last week the pile caps, so you don't see any of that steel on the bottom, and then where the steel is that's coming up on the top, they're starting to form that up, so we can pour that as well and start building with that. We've had our first meeting with the contractor that's going to do the glue lamb, or it's the same contractor, but I mean who actually develops the wood for us. So we've had our meeting with them. Everything's going good. So it's looking good. Everything's hopefully it just keeps going the way it's going. It's fun. It's fun as it starts going up. And that's all I have for the capital improvements. If you guys have any questions.
Just, I guess it's not really parks related, but the parking lot by Central Park?
Yes.
Did you mention when?
That
where
will,
that's at?
it is, there's still,
Some design still,
they're almost complete with the design. There's a few little construction things that they're working on, but it will be completed before, that and the bridge will most likely be completed before the amphitheater. They're not as intricate, so, but that's a good thing. It would definitely be before that. I've seen the plans. Mariana and I were looking at it for some other grants for different things, for some art. So it's there, it's ready. There's some maneuvers of, I think it's Frontier or Spectrum, things that they're working with that they're outside onto the street, and then as soon as that stuff's moved, they're able to go out to bid and finish everything there.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, guys? Capital? Commissioner Peterson?
The park lighting says that the lights have been purchased pending delivery. What parks are those for?
So that's for the pump track, and then also Kai Thomas. It's a little pocket park there on Newport and Kai Thomas. So they gave us about a 12-week lead time on those. Those are the solar lights, the bollards, and then also the poles that'll be taller to light up not the bike park, but the pump track, so we can ride into the evening.
Good. Thank you.
Nice. Any other questions, folks? All right, then moving on to the maintenance division report.
Okay, so there's our maintenance team that's out in the streets. They're nice and clean in these pictures. So we had 59 facility work orders submitted. We've completed 56 of those. And then we've had 322 submitted for the parks, for our parks and our right-of-ways. 310 of those are completed. So we're moving along quite a bit there. We also had 77 trees trimmed in the month of May, but now in June we've already trimmed a couple hundred. So it's moving quick. It just, depending on what it is, and then again in July we'll be doing good. Most trees we're able to start trimming through the summertime. Pines we'll be real careful with, and then different areas if it's any kind of nesting period or anything we'll look out. But we have a good program going with our tree service. So then also, as we can compare the two, as you can see, like 27% of our work orders are for the right-of-way service, but then 37% of the time that it's taking is for those. So this shows you, yeah, some of them may have a lot of more. The council chamber setting these up, and that's for meetings like this and different things. But then 1% of that doesn't take as long, so they may have more work orders, but some of it doesn't take as long on there. Like the park maintenance is 30%, but it's 27% of the time. So just like to show the difference of what it's taking and what's taking longer for our work order system. And then as we move into the park rangers, so we had on Monday, and we'll bring them this next commission so you guys can meet them in person. That's on the left-hand side. That's Luis Marino. He is a ranger that has been in the Parks Service since 2018. Comes from San Diego County and a few different reserves down there. So he was a park ranger before this. Just started Monday. Super nice, very knowledgeable with everything. A great asset to the community. So it's good to have a second ranger back out in the field and out of the parks. So if you see him, that's Lewis. Say hi to him. You guys will definitely get to meet him here soon. So in the month of May, we had 317 park visits. 4 Adopt a Trail volunteer hours, and then we had reached 425 kids for the school events, which is a plus. Now those numbers will obviously, well, except for the school outreach, will be a little bit less over the summer, but we'll have a couple other camps. But as soon as school starts back up with both rangers, we'll definitely increase those, and especially the park visits should double now that we have 2 park rangers. So that's all I have for my update. If you guys have any questions.
Any questions for Bryce? Okay, thank you. Appreciate those reports. Number 10, Commissioner reports on committee activities. Anyone like to start, Laz?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
All right, so I was lucky enough to have been invited to the field allocation meeting that we had virtually back in, I believe, mid-May. It's been a while. It went very well, and I was actually pleasantly surprised to hear very few complaints and compliments. Actually, there were some compliments that were nice, and I actually had some feedback after the fact that reinforced the compliments. So that was a very positive experience. Then we got to enjoy the Menifee Youth Fair, which was very well done, and there were many booths, all sorts of fun games and activities for the children, and dancing, and just. It was pretty much just a lot of action, and there was no shortage of any excitement going on that day. It was very fun. Banner Village Park ribbon cutting. It was a nice, windy, cold day, but it was a very fun experience, and followed by a movie. That was we had a lot of fun there. Memorial Day, same as the Veterans Day event. It was moving. It was very special. It was a wonderful job done by the staff who put that on. The missing man flyover was. It was a little, a little heart tugging on that one, and I just got to give a shout to all of our, military servicemen and the past and present and everything that they've done for our country. Teen Recognition Night, the youth leaders at Menifee had a wonderful night of awards and recognition, and it was a very special event. There were a couple standout students there, and they. It was just a year of great things from that group of kids. And then last Friday, I had the opportunity to enjoy one of the Watch Me Grow youth activities, I think it's 2 to 5-year-olds, over at Lazy Creek. And it was a little toasty day, but the kids, they pulled through. They had a lot of fun, and it was enjoyable. It was very well done. Thank you.
Laz. Anyone else? Bill?
Yeah, I attended the senior health fair. I qualified to go to that. And I appreciate a lot of people, amazing amount of people that were there, an amazing amount of booths that were there, an amazing amount of people, what they would do to get a free sandwich. And also, I appreciate that you're utilizing the Sun City Civic Association facilities and having Shakespeare in the Park at the Sun City Civic Association. I think it will bring more people in. I was also at the Banner Village Park opening, and I was very encouraged when Councilmember Sobek said that they will be pursuing funding for a playground for that park. And I felt really good about that. So, thank you.
Thank you. I also, May was a busy month. Gosh, there was a lot of events going on, and I was able to attend the Senior Health Fair on May 4th as well. And I got to also attend the Digital Art Affair over at the Casey Center. With highlighting youth from Santa Rosa Academy. And that was a wonderful evening. I attended the Menifee Youth Fair as well, and the Banner Village Park dedication. Glad to see. I'm sure that splash pad is being well used. And Memorial Day ceremony was just a wonderful experience, and also I very enjoyed seeing the teens get recognized at the Teen Recognition Night on the 29th for the youth leaders of Menifee. So wonderful month of events, and there were even more events that I couldn't even attend since our last meeting. But we've got just lots of wonderful opportunities here in the city of Menifee. Number 11, future agenda requests. Any commissioners have any comments or questions or suggestions? I would like to ask, maybe at our September meeting, would just give us a summary on how the aquatics program went, since it was our inaugural year. If somebody could second that request, I'd appreciate that.
I'll second that one.
Thank you. And then also, I attended last Saturday the Juneteenth celebration that was held. I know it's an independent organization that held it over at Mount San Jacinto College. And just wondered, has there been discussions on the city being a partner with that in the future?
They did reach out to us this year, and we kind of talked through, what potential partnership might look like. I think ultimately they were looking at a location and waiving of the fees of using Mount San Jacinto College, which isn't something we had purview of, but we had let them know that we're available and would like to be represented. And I think after that meeting, we hadn't heard much else, but definitely open to the opportunity.
Super. It was super hot out there on the blacktop because they chose to go 11 to 6, which was just the hottest day of June, I think, which was unfortunate. But it was well attended. I was really surprised and grown tremendously from last year, it seems. And it looks like they could certainly use our guidance too on logistics and things as well too. But it was a nice event, and I'd love to see us partner with them in the future. Any other comments or questions, Bias? Yes.
A couple questions. When we're, well, first off, what was our numbers for number of acres per 1,000 residents here in our city for park space?
5 acres per 1,000 is what we aim for.
Okay, we're aiming for 5. Do you know what we're at?
I believe from the Parks Master Plan, just over 3. Yeah, like 3.2 or 3.3, something like that.
And does that include Valleywide?
Yes.
It does,
Yes, it
okay.
does.
That's all. Thank you.
That's room for growth. Okay, it is 7:45. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move.
A second.
Second.
All right, we'll adjourn this meeting. Thank you, everyone, for attending online and in person.